Hey, what's up, y'all? Back again with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well, taking care of yourself, and like I always say, eating foods that are aligned with you and staying hydrated. So, I've been feeling the energies have definitely been increasing, and I'm so happy that I do somewhat know about astrology because right now the moon is in Gemini. And while I was out, I was noticing that today is a windy day. And Gemini is air and it likes to communicate. So, given the fact that nature is representing what is actually going on in conjunction with the weather as well today, is very interesting. So, what I did, I went within, and Gemini represents communication and thoughts and thinking, more on the side of being logical. And also, because it is an air sign, your thoughts may be going here or there. Your thoughts are all over the place and just overthinking things that you probably really don't need to overthink. So when thoughts come through, you're basically none of these thoughts, you're really not. And I did a video talking about how I purge a lot of trauma and things that have hurt my feelings. I basically just feel it and I engulf myself into it so I can get to that space where I am seeing what has happened or whatever challenge is going on in a different perspective. And I recreate a new belief system of what I agree to and what I don't agree with. And so with doing that, it's showing you how powerful you actually are, and you have to basically do these things every single day, trying to be present and just releasing. And with the word releasing, think of like an apartment complex. A person who is releasing themselves from their apartment that they were currently living in, whether they have to move or they have an emergency move or they just don't like the apartment anymore. So I'm going to read the definition of what releasing is. It's basically a release from rental agreements, and the process is a mutual agreement between the tenant and the landlord that the tenant is choosing to terminate his or her lease. It just say his, but I always include all, his and hers lease early, or that the lease has to be terminated due to reasons beyond either the party's control. So with that being the definition of releasing, you could think of your thoughts in the same way. You're basically making a new contract with the thoughts that are in front of you, and you are making a new agreement with the universe, with yourself, with God, the landlord, the real landlords of the land, of the universe, of the world. You're making a new agreement to your own personal life so you can create a new way of thinking, which is peace. So each thought that comes through, you want to look at it and basically feel it and not attach to it, because you want to make a new agreement to what is coming through you. And a lot of people think that they don't have options to create peace in their life and in their mind, in their body, and be able to live this life in a different manner, And I think too, as well, is that people are in fear of reaching that space of peace, because once you get to that space of understanding peace, there's a lot of people that you will recognize that are not in peace. And it can intimidate the people who are still fighting with themselves. So I think that's another reason why people stay in the the heaviness of the thoughts that are like devaluing or sabotaging. That's why some people stay there in those thoughts. The term of being comfortable in what they already know, their habits, and their habits in their ways of how they think, because it is habitual the way that some people think. And with habits, you have to break some of those habits by doing something different, by thinking something different, to see what you are actually capable of. But you can't see what you are capable of if you're always distracting yourself from the external world and your own personal thoughts that you always have all the time. Hopefully people get tired of having those thoughts over and over and over again. And some people are not going to awaken, and they're not supposed to, because it does bring balance. Everything is here to bring some type of opposition and balance to this world. Like, for example, everyone is not going to be straight. And so that's why it's like, why even have a belief against people who date the same sex? So why even have a belief? Because there's always going to be the opposite of you. We all don't think the same. We are all actually very different. Even though we all have a body, but we are all very much so different. Our soul's essence and our true journey is absolutely different, and what God actually wants us to present in this world is absolutely different. But the thing is that people fight over their differences, and they can't get over the differences that another person has. And they just automatically go into judgment, when we all have a story and we all have a past, and we all have experienced pain. We've all gone through challenging things. So what is the need to try to, impose on someone your belief system, and then not allow the opposite person that you are conversing with to express themselves and allow them to be who they are and have their own opinion? Even if it is the opposite of your opinion, it shouldn't bother anyone. And if it does bother, any parties, then that's something that you can look at within yourself. But at the end of the day, we go home with ourselves, so there really isn't a reason to impose on each other. And I also want to talk about like one-sided behavior. There's a lot of people that I recognize that they can be controlling, and whether they know it or not, they are controlling. And with being a controlling type of person, things can become very one-sided in that dynamic, in that relationship, in that familyship, in that friendship. Things can be so one-sided to where you feel like you can't breathe. You yourself can't even be who you want to be, and converse and feel comfortable to be who you are. And so with a person who's one-sided, at times I find that people who are very much so one-sided in relationships, they have the tendency to not be able to take constructive criticism or take someone else's opinion, because we're all walking worlds and universes on our own. So we're actually not supposed to be really against each other. We're here to offer something different, a different perspective, or to bounce off ideas from each other. And if something comes up or arises that another individual is like, hey, like, I actually don't like this, or this is the boundary that I have, you don't have to even use the word boundary, but you're communicating with them that I'm not accepting A, B, and C, and D. And it's one of those things where it's not a petty thing. It's actually, something that needs to be said that is definitely crossing the barriers of just someone's autonomy, and you know, are someone's physicality, and are they're hurting them physically. Those types of things do need to be spoken up. You know, that's something that you should speak on. And if that person, an individual, can't respond respectfully and understand that, then that's a type of person that you do want to disengage with, because they're going to look at you like something is wrong with you for speaking on something that has to do with your autonomy, your space, the things that you like. You may even be allergic to something, and they're trying to force you to eat something that you are allergic to. So we're talking about things like this, you know, things you can't help, and that you need to speak up on. When it comes to your autonomy, things like this need to be said, and the other party will get offended. And it's like, we don't own anyone, we don't control anyone, and we definitely can't change people's minds about what they want to experience and what they know they want to experience in this life, you know. So we can't impose onto someone of why they are doing the things that they're doing. Only they truly know that, you know. So we're all adults, you know what I mean? And we're not against each other, and this is how people operate. You say something, they're automatically offended by what you said. I see it a lot. I see it in friendships, family ships, and then it just pulls people apart. And we absolutely didn't need to be pulled apart, but there has to be understanding there on both sides. You know, the whole term of agreeing to disagree, whatever you want to call it, like, I'm my own person, you're your own person, and that's okay, you know. I'm personally, you could do whatever you want, but there are certain things where I'm just like, no, that's affecting my autonomy. That is affecting my physicality. So I am going to say something, and I have every right to say something. You're around people like that, you disengage from them. You know, you separate yourself from them, especially mentally. And you don't have to agree and make agreements and contracts that you accept what they are imposing onto you, especially if it's affecting you, your autonomy, your body. And so going back to releasing these thoughts that are created, because it seems like it's you know, a lot of people are thinking, a lot of people have a lot of things on their mind, a lot of people are trying to survive, but we don't have to be against each other. You know, we're all trying to eat, we're all trying to live. We don't have to be against each other. We're all going to take our own path in our own way. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you're aligned, no one can derail you. You know, just like a train, you know, no one can get you off track of your destination. A train is going to get there as long as something is not in its way that's stopping it. And even then, majority of the time, that train is going to keep on going. If there's a car in front of the train, that train is still going to hold up. You know, it's going to keep going on to its destination. So see yourself as that, and never compare yourself to someone else and what somebody else has, because a lot of these things are not that important to begin with. It's just an experience. It's not the be all end all. Another thing I want to touch on is people pleasing. A lot of people can get into the habit of being a assistant to a narcissist by accident if you are not aware. And that's basically whenever someone is in a narcissistic relationship, they end up being used as an assistant, and they weren't even aware that they were being a assistant to somebody else's life. And the narcissist is using you to do and get whatever they can from you, whether it be money, energy, to make you sad, to hurt you, to cheat on you. They'll do whatever, you know. People will do whatever. It doesn't even have to be a narcissist. I'm just calling it that. But they'll do whatever. So you're their personal assistant, and which leads into people pleasing if you're not aware. You know, going above or going beyond and doing the whole people pleasing thing will get you in a lot of trouble, because once you've tipped those scales way too far on the narcissistic side, It is so hard to recreate boundaries between you and that individual. Sometimes you have to escape the situation at a whole because it's that bad, because the individual let it go for too long. And now that person, you could call them an empath or a sensitive, now that person is recognizing their worth and they're awakening while they're with the narcissist, and it's going to cause more conflict between the two. And so now you're fighting to balance out those scales. And I want to say, no matter what and who you are around, always be committed to yourself before you get in the relationship, while you're in the relationship. There's been so many people, for example, they eat healthy, they work out, they get in a relationship, and then it declines. Not saying that there's something wrong with that, or people stop hanging out with their friends. I've done that as well, thinking that was the way to go or the way to be, is to concentrate fully on your relationship. But you got to know how to rearrange your energy in the proper way to where you're still balanced and you're not giving all your energy all the way into that relationship, and then you're depleted and you don't have time to hang out with people that you actually want to hang out with. And then you're unbalanced, and now you're fighting to get the scales balanced again. And it just makes it a lot harder when, like I said, the narcissist is used to you being a certain way, used to getting away with whatever, and now you're not putting up with it anymore. But we all go through things for a reason, and once you get out onto the other end, you have gained so much knowledge and strength within yourself. And being strong. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to be the strong person. But what if we just accepted being that strong individual? It doesn't mean just because you're strong that you don't cry. You could still be strong and cry and have your moments as well, and not and be unapologetic for having those feelings, but you know that you are strong enough to get out of that. So strength needs to be looked at differently, and you're not always going to get strength from other people, because the strength that you have or you get from other people, it's always going to be limited anyways. Majority of the work is inside of you. Where you get your energy from is from God's source, the universe anyways, to replenish yourself fully. And then you could do the external things by eating better, taking supplements, herbs to maintain your stamina and your energy and your nervous system in conjunction to the things that you are doing internally. So when you do that and you come across a challenge, you'll be able to not get drenched. Your energy won't get drenched like Kool-Aid. You'll know how to regulate it a lot better. And you won't allow people to do certain things, whether they like it or not. If you say something and you're a person who's a people pleaser, you got to get comfortable with speaking up, because there's nothing wrong with speaking up. And in certain situations, like I said, when it comes to your body and your autonomy, those things need to be spoken up, because sometimes with male energy, they can be very abrasive and overbearing. I know women can do this too, but I'm talking about like masculine energy in general can be really overbearing when it's too tipped over, too in the masculine side, and there's no femininity there, because there's an embarrassment of having feminine energy when we are both anyways. So when people become way too far on the other end, they have an issue of being receptive, receiving, listening, submissive, whatever you want to call it, that initial feminine energy. So being in too much feminine energy is not good, and being too much in masculine energy is not good either. Both of them can basically, when they get unbalanced, both of them can have you seeing things that are unclear. Feel weird. You're going to feel shamed. You don't want the other person to hurt. You feel guilty for speaking up, because you know how it feels to hurt, because you've been taking on everybody else's stuff. You've been taking everyone else's stuff on, including your own stuff. So now you kind of get lost in what energy is yours, what shadow work is yours, and other people's stuff, and the obligation of taking care of these people emotionally. You've allowed it too long. And so, which gives them freedom and their light, and then you're with your stuff in there. So you got to make sure that you can afford to even help people. It's not about being nice, mean, a good person. It's about taking care of you so you won't get out of balance, and all these illnesses come. Even psychosis can happen, mental illnesses, depression, migraines, inflammation. All these elements and aches and pains come along because you're taking on other people's emotional weight. And that just continues to lead down certain pathways that continue to deplete you and diminish you and put you behind energetically. And I had to go through that, and I had to put myself forward and take accountability for things, for when I didn't speak up. So it is a process to get used to, but don't take on somebody else's guilt or emotion just because you stood up for yourself. We all have to start putting ourselves first and not be offended because someone is standing up for themselves in a way that is quite uncomfortable. The things that they are, another person is imposing on them, their body weight, or throwing their body weight around, or bossing them around, telling them what to do, telling them what to eat, all in their space. Certain things you do have to speak up, because some people won't get it and they think it's okay. But just because you spoke up, it doesn't mean that you're a horrible person for doing so. And it doesn't mean that you hate the other person. It's just so many people they're not used to hearing feedback that they are doing something. And it's not the fact that they're doing something wrong. It's just that you're here too on this earth, and you know what's comfortable for you and what's not. So a lot of people can impose, on them, and take advantage of people in their body. And that is unnecessary and it's uncalled for. And we should be speaking up in these scenarios. And you shouldn't feel guilty for speaking up. One thing for me, I have Chiron and Gemini. Chiron is basically your wounded healer, what you have to heal from your past life, which is, for me, is about speaking and talking and speaking up when I'm supposed to in these certain situations, like communication. And so majority of my life I have experienced in my past people stunting my speech and not allowing me to speak. So now I work on that all the time, of when to speak up, and I use my voice whether people like it or not. I'm even doing videos and stuff like that, and getting more comfortable. And it was never the fact that I didn't know how to speak. It was just that crippling fear. And everyone has a Chiron, or a past life that you have to heal, your wounded healer that you have to heal from your past life. And it's going to look different for everyone. So that's why, we all represent something, and it's all connected to God on many different degrees, So even pulling in and tying in astrology, when you know what the day is, and you've been feeling all these feelings, it helps you understand and release and lighten the load, that you're not tripping. Oh, the moon's in Gemini, so that's why you've been thinking a lot. That's why you've been fixated on. That's why your mind has been going this way and that way. Just like the wind, it's kind of unstable in a way. The wind can be very unstable, and so when you know these things, then you'll know how to look at things differently. You'll know how to handle yourself differently and not take things so offensively when people are doing these things and acting these things out in the world, and they don't even know that we are astrology. As above, so below. We're all connected to everything, so Just recognizing where you're at in your own personal growth is going to help you and expand you. But remember, you are not attached to any of the thoughts that come through. The thing that you want to do is look at all the root problems, the root of the root of the root problems. Just like when you want to plant a fruit tree, you got to have the dirt and you got to have the seed to be able to plant, And so what does the seed represent? You can even correlate it to your parents, the male and the female, and the man having the seed and the woman being the nurturer and the plant that helps the baby grow. And it's the same thing. So if the seed came from your parents, then and trauma is connected to each and person in your family, so the seed keeps getting passed down and passed down. Trauma keeps happening, same things keep happening to each and every person. So if you're watching this video and you want to make yourself recognize your shadow work, the sides of you that you have to take responsibility of, it starts from the history of your family origin, and then also your astrological birth chart that's also connected on a different scale of why you are actually here, and actually how far you've gotten off due to the past trauma that you were connected to with your family, because it's all about energy. So if you could tie them both together, you'll be able to work through a lot more and get a better understanding of yourself. It's kind of like a guide through this life to help you move through narcissists, move through family situations, relationship situations. And we're not all gonna know the complete answers, but it is a gateway to direct you in some type of understanding of yourself, and to never be scared of who you are and your power, and never play small, because we're going to die anyways, whether we like it or not, and it's not going to matter. So you might as well do what you want to do and do it, and not be scared regardless of what anyone says, regardless of how anyone views you, because there's always, I promise you, no matter how kind you are, no matter whatever, people will have some type of jealousy of you if you are sure of who you are. You may not know everything, but you have some type of foundation that you always fall back on. And there's this sureness that you have, this unspoken confidence, this God confidence that you have, that no one can take away from you. They could take everything else away from you if they want to, but they can't take the God confidence that you have within you, So we're not here to attack each other. We're not here to be against each other, but this is what people want to do. They want to be against each other. They want to blame things on other people, because it's just easier. It's just easier to any way that they cannot feel their own pain, they'll give it to someone else's. They will give it to someone else, and you can't really truly help people like that at times, because some people can't see, they don't want to see, they don't want to change, they just don't. They're just stuck in that space, and it's okay to walk away, because you don't want to be blamed for something that was not something that you were supposed to be blamed for anyways, being used as a scapegoat of situations that you were never really, supposed to be in to begin with. You know what I mean? So it's just this obligation to be a nice person, this obligation to be a good person, to be seen this way, to have this college degree, to be in this space, to be friends with that friend. And it's all these obligations that put so much pressure, unspoken pressure, on an individual, and they know that they don't even want to be involved in the first place. They don't even want to do those things anyways. And they may even mistake it as like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it, or, oh, that's just my insecurity speaking, when it was actually just telling them that they weren't supposed to be doing that or hanging out with that individual to begin with. And so, and this is where trying to understand who you are comes to play with what you actually want to do. Do you really want to hang out with that person? Do you really want to, work at that job? Do you really want that relationship? Or are you coming from a desperate space? Are you coming from a desperate space of wanting to be in a relationship so bad? So bad, because when you enter into a relationship like that, where you're so desperate and so like swept off your feet for another individual, sometimes that's where people swoop in and take advantage of you down the road, because they know that they got you. They know they got you, and there's nothing wrong with knowing that you want to be with someone, but you still want to have those boundaries and see the things that you need to see in the beginning to know, like, if this individual is for you. If you don't like a person who like works all the time, don't date them. Don't budge on that, because then you're going to insert yourself into that and they're not going to be available. If you're the type of person who likes to go out and hang out and stuff like that, and the other individual doesn't, then maybe you may want to reconsider that, because those are the things that you're going to be dealing with that individual. You got to know what you are okay with in these relationships and what you're going to be dealing with. So don't be, unconscious just because that person has a great job when you don't even see them majority of the time. And that's not what you wanted, but you just dated them because they have money and they have a good job and there's stability there. If you don't have a problem with seeing them all the time, then that's okay. That's a perfect relationship for you. You have that space and you see them every now and then, and the time you guys spend together, then that's good enough. And then they're off doing their own thing. If you're not okay with that, don't date someone like that. If someone is unable to communicate with you, then you gotta go. Don't you want to be with someone who confronts things and can communicate on hard topics instead of avoid topics? A lot of people were accepting those types of relationships, and it just brings so much turmoil, and it makes it to where they don't leave because it doesn't seem that bad, and it's actually deteriorating them because they're not getting the communication and the reciprocation of communication and energy that could be their love language, that individual who loves to communicate, or a person who loves to spend time, so this is all about learning who you are and not being desperate, because there's 8 billion people here. There's 8 billion people here. I truly believe there's a lot of mismatched people who are not with the person they actually want to be with, and because they thought that it wasn't capable, because they didn't want to wait, because their circumstances told them that they had to be with that individual or they were going to be homeless. It's like, how did you really truly know that you were actually going to be homeless? You never know. If you didn't take it, what actually could have transpired. We just always, a lot of people just think of the negative or the worst case scenario, which is nothing's wrong with that, but it's just when you're in a desperate feeling or a desperate need, that's when things get a little weird and you don't know what you're really truly getting because you're coming out of desperation. And this is something we all have to work on. I do it, I did it. I expressed in my last video of dating and how I get over people, and now I'm in a much better space. Little did I know what I was doing, So everything always takes time of learning yourself, but continue to follow it. And if people call you stubborn, let them call you stubborn. If they think that you are better than them, let them think that. Let them feel like you are better than them. Because I've even tried to express to people, I'm not better than you. I've had people tell me, oh, you think that you're better. Like, and I'm like, what? What? And I said, if you think that I'm better, that's you thinking that. And why is that even a derogatory thing in the first place? And if I was to accept that, I would reword it in a different way, that I'm changing and I see things a little bit differently now. And we're supposed to upgrade in taking better care of ourselves and recreating new thoughts and belief systems of how we actually see the world. There's no limit to that, and it shouldn't be limited. So people like to suppress people into thinking that they are too good when everyone has the ability to imagine and dream and have aspirations, as long as it's not overtaking you to where you're stressed out and you're not enjoying it, or you're forcing something that's not supposed to even happen right now, but you want to be that thing so you could show everybody that you're smart. You want to be a doctor so you can show everybody that you're smart, but you don't even really have a true passion for helping people in that way. Just watching our egos and keeping our egos in check and knowing when to use your ego, because there's nothing wrong with the ego and using it, as long as you just don't let it overpower you. So do things in a different intention through God. You're doing things through God, not to get this or not to get that. You'll get into a space where you're not doing things for to get something material wise. That will just come. So your intention has to be truly different in the things that you want to do in this world. What do you want to help out in this world? How do you want to help in this world? And it will come as long as you are taking care of yourself in different ways, because you have to be doing it as well, and not just just preaching it, but you got to be doing it as well. You got to be practicing, attempting to even practice it. And that's where you start until you get to a different space. Like, spirituality is not like a career as far as like competition and, getting something out of it, like money or some. You get money out of it, but you're looking at it in a different way when you are truly wanting to help people. So never be desperate of anyone. The less desperate you are, the less in need in the things that you want. You basically will receive things out of the blue. So, a lot of people are going through it, and I totally get it. This world is challenging and dealing with different types of personalities and their perspective. And sometimes they can't hear you. They don't want to understand you. They're just wanting to, at times, just prove a point. They want to prove that you're wrong to kind of diminish you. And we're not here for that. We're just all supposed to do what we are here and aligned to do. And this world is definitely interesting. And I found silence is a good way to, disengage in certain things and certain thoughts, and just stay silent. And the more that you feel, you'll get a new thought. You'll be released from those thoughts, and they won't hold you back and they won't hold you down. And you'll see that when you do that, it's a huge benefit to release, the thoughts that were holding you down. You'll feel lighter. You'll start to see things in a different way. You'll get new information, but to be able to get new information, you got to feel that before you can get that information and even have access to even changing the belief that you have tied to that thought that was there to begin with. So it's all about understanding that, and new things will come to show you where you are at in your emotional growth, because that's basically what it is. You're emotionally maturing with your emotions and with your body and how you view yourself. You know, a lot of people think that maturity comes from getting a job and making money, getting a car. Yes, but you got to have that emotional maturity to handle all of those things. Because if you don't have the emotions in check, then you won't be able to maintain it. You won't be able to maybe even get into a new position at a job, all kinds of things. If you are not emotionally taking care of yourself, because that's where it's at. It's the emotions. It's the emotions that you gotta take care of. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will be back again with another video. Peace.